Gonna jump right into it. I'm growing my hair out, so I know I normally have the fresh fade, but I'm just gonna grow this out a little bit. Hopefully everybody's doing okay, everybody's doing good. This video, I'm just gonna talk about some movie ideas. So, some different movies that I think will be really good. I'm gonna start with one that's gonna be a little bit risque, I guess you say. And yeah, these movie ideas, if you guys really like them, you can go ahead and take them and develop them. And otherwise, you can collaborate with me on it, work with me on it. I'll need people to work with on these videos, on these movies. So I just figured I'd put them out there because I don't want to just hold on to them. But this first one is really good. It's just going to depend on how much people are into the whole religious thing, So I'm just going to jump right into it. Jesus comes back. He finally comes back, right? But when he comes back, he's put into a human body. And so he forgets a little bit of stuff. So his memory, no, he doesn't forget. He knows that he's on a mission and that he's Jesus. And like he came back, right? And the character will be a black dude that'll be playing Jesus, right? And he comes back and he's telling everybody, yo, I'm Jesus. I came back, blah, 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 blah. And so it'd be kind of like a modern day version of what is written in the Bible to a certain degree. And so he'll be telling everybody, then everybody will just be like, no, you're not that. You're not, you're not Jesus. You're not God. And he's like, yeah, I'm God, man. I'm God, blah, 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 blah. And everybody will just kind of be like talking down to him. And so he's homeless. And since he's homeless, he's talking to some people and he's like, dang, nobody really believes me. And so he's talking to a guy and he's like, he's just like, what do you guys do? What do you do here? What do you do here? Or whatever. Like, let's just assuming that he hasn't been watching, you know what I'm saying? So he's like, what do you guys do here? And the guy's like, we just relax, chill, and everybody's thinking he's crazy, like, because they're used to drug addicts and stuff, homeless people saying that they're God. So they're like, we do drugs and stuff. So long story short, he starts doing crack. He gets hooked on crack. And so I think the idea came from a joke I was writing at first, but whatever the case, there'll be a little bit of comedy in there, but it'll actually be like a really, I think it'll make people emotional, because you'll see like the journey. So it's kind of like a God going through human experiences, which is all really deep, real deep stuff here. So he becomes a crackhead and he's in this crack house, and then he's starting to forget kind of who he is or who he was or what his mission was, that type of thing. And there's a point in time when he ends up, he's like grabs a dirty bottle of water or something, he's like trying to drink the water and he turns it into wine or something else, it could be something else, but he transforms it. So then some people see that and he starts doing like these little magical things. He's not even really thinking about it. He's just doing them, it just be like by habit. And then that's when people start to see like, oh, and then the drug dealers are seeing some of these things that he's doing. And then they start to realize, oh man, that guy's really God, And then they start to follow him. And then they're like, we're not going to sell you drugs anymore. We got to get you clean. And then they get him clean. They become his followers. So he has like these kind of like a tough entourage of drug dealers and whatnot. So he's like the people's champ almost, he's like of the people because he went through that struggle to like kind of the lowest of lows, and now he's rising back up. And so it kind of shows that transformative process. And so then he has these followers, or then he starts doing these different things, and then just kind of shows him living out the human experience. Um, and yes, it's pretty good. So I want to do that one. I think I could do that one really simply, to be honest. And I had some people in mind to be involved on it, but I don't know how religious some people are, and how they'll feel, because I'm not so religious. I'm more into different, I kind of like every different, I'm kind of wide open with it, and I just study a lot of stuff. So I see it more as a metaphors and symbolism, that whole story and everything. And so for people that are into like so-called conscious information, black information and stuff, there's symbolism with that too, because you're showing this person, well, when I say like black conscious stuff, you talk about like in New York, for example, they have the mathematics, and so not to isolate or alienate anybody, but I'm talking about black conscious information. When I say black conscious information, that would be like black woke information, if you want to use that term. If you say black woke information, then you're talking about black historical information, comedic information, all that type of stuff. And a lot of that is black centric, where it'll be like you have to remember who you are, and the black man is God, or the black woman is God, which may mean that's the first people on the planet, if you believe in that. And so then they're the creators, and blah, 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 blah. But whatever the case, if that's what you're going with, then that's called black consciousness or black wokeness or whatever. And so when you look at that story, you're showing that element or symbology of a black man. And it doesn't even have to go to that extent, saying the black man is God or black woman is God. Because me and my girl were talking about having Mary Magdalene be in it, and she'll be like a woman that's in the crack house, and I'm thinking she'll probably be a prostitute. And then, but he'll only really see it, like it'll seem like she's a real character in the movie, but it'll come out to be later that she's actually, let me see here. There's a book called Mary Magdalene. I might have it. Hold on. There's a book called Mary Magdalene the Illuminator, The Woman Who Enlightened the Christ. So this, I don't think I ever really read through the full thing, by William Henry. Mary Magdalene the Illuminator. So it talks about how she was actually the one that gave Christ his consciousness and whatnot. So anyway, I was thinking about adding that aspect into the movie, where it would be she actually appears into in the crack house, and he's seeing this girl, and he's like having conversations, chilling with her and everything. And so she seems like a real character in the actual movie. But then later, towards the end of the movie, it'll actually happen to be like she's just a spirit that appeared to him whenever he was high, and was helping him through his journey. So even though he's the Almighty Jesus, whatever, he had this person helping him. Because there's a lot to it, and Mary Magdalene and him could be the same person, masculine, feminine halves. That could have been the symbolism in the story. But anyway, so if the black man, black woman, if you look at them like, okay, well, God is within you, and you could look at that from any type of race. But if God is within you, then it really could be symbolism where you show, when I look at the black aspect, you talk about slavery, and it goes into its depth, and it's like, you're not this, you're not that. So if you come from greatness, and then you start to dip down, and it's like then you forget who you are. Then you got a sexy red. No, I'm playing. Then you got people that forget who they are, and they got to remember who they are, and then they get hooked on these drugs, like crack, and so he's in the crack house. So then he remembers who he is and comes back into that. So that's the black side of it. If you're talking about just God in you in general, you have people that go to like AA and stuff like that, and they do the 12-step program, and a lot of that is God focused, and they start to kind of focus on that. So across all ethnicities, if you go with the notion that God is within you, then you have that symbolism of this person coming down to earth. They go through trials and tribulations, end up overcoming that, and then the God within them is awakened when they're at their lowest point, and they recover. Then now they live righteously. So that's that movie. I had another movie, and I started to realize a lot of this has to do, like, a trend of mine is like a lot of the people forget something, or something psychological happens. So I had another one where there's a police officer, and he goes undercover. He goes undercover as I think he was playing as a homeless man for whatever reason. That's how I had the idea. It was like he was a homeless man, and he's undercover. Maybe he's a drug addict, but then he's like homeless, whatever. So he's in between. So he's trying to like be on the streets essentially to catch to catch the operations that are going on. Because if he's on the streets and people just think that he's some homeless person, he can see what's going on, keep his ear to the streets, without alerting the people that he's trying to watch. That'll be a very short segment. That was the original plan. It's a very short segment because it's like even on like he's not very deep in before he gets into it with somebody on the street, and they end up getting violent with him, hit him over the head, and he forgets that he's an undercover cop. So now he just thinks he's some homeless dude, and he doesn't know who he is or any of his history. He has like a family and all that, and somehow or another he ends up leaving, like getting on a train or something. Like he travels, and he just starts traveling and traveling to where he's not even in. He was from New York. He's not even in New York anymore. He's like over in Idaho or something. And then the whole thing is he has to remember who he is as a cop. So everybody like in New York, they're looking for him. They're like, where's this dude? And they're putting out posters and flyers and everything. They're trying to find where he is. And there's no trace of him. And so he's rebuilding his whole life. And every now and then he'd have like segments of like a flashback or something, but it was like very fuzzy. So he doesn't know who he is. And I can't quite, I think I have notes on it, but I don't have it really fresh in my mind right now. But he ends up some type of a love story in there where like, I can't quite remember how I had it, but that's the main gist of it. And somehow or another, he makes it back to New York, and then everybody ends up filling him in on what he's been missing, because it's been like some years. They're like, oh, you're alive, and then they fill him in on the stuff he's been missing. I don't think it's going to be it's no real drama. It's not like his wife was like, she's happy to see him. It's not like she just went on without him type thing. I think it was something like that. That's how it kind of ended. I have my other one. I have one where it was Hispanic or Latin. I think I started hearing Hispanic wasn't the right term to use. So a Latin person that had superpowers. So I wanted to see a Latin superhero because I don't really see that. So I wrote this one. I actually wrote this one down, but I haven't written like the actual script out, but I wrote like what kind of happens. So on this one, it's a guy whose family immigrates from Mexico, and they come to America. So he's born in America. No. He's born in Mexico, and he's with his family. Now in Mexico, he was like floating. Like when he was born as a baby, he was like floating. they saw that and they thought like he was possessed or something. So they didn't ever want to tell him what happened, and or that he, whatever. So they ended up leaving Mexico. They moved to America like 1 year in, and so he's just living as a regular child for, I would probably say 12 years, because I think there's something to that number 12, as far as consciousness and stuff. But so until like the age of 12, he's just living like a regular kid. I had to look back. I don't think that there's really any. I think every now and then he might have had like, there might have been like a few things, like a sign or two, like he might accidentally make something float or something. But he grows up, and then he's looking back. All I know is this. This is what I can't remember. He ends up coming back from school like on a half day or whatever, and he's in their garage. I guess like the garage is where they keep all their old videos and stuff like that. And he was looking through the stuff, and then he found something that showed him. Oh, okay, my bad. When he was a baby, they wanted to keep the powers away from him or something, so they had some type of a witch doctor or something. They play this noise. It's like a certain frequency. The frequency is what blocks his powers, or what like kind of isolated it. And so, or toned it down, whatever you want to call it. It blocked it somehow or another. So now, fast forward, he was looking at some old videos, and then he heard that sound. They're showing some videos of him, and then I think they showed him like floating as a baby, and then he heard that sound, and then that's what reactivated his powers, and now he was floating, like stuff started floating in the garage. And so his powers were, he's pretty much invincible. So like he could do telekinesis, he could fly, pretty much he could do really anything. And the only thing that really hinders his powers is the sound. When he hears the sound, then that can make him be more so human and not a superhero or whatever, or have superpowers anymore. And so the dope part about this is like I said, it's a Latin superhero, which people don't really ever show. So you're gonna have a lot of Spanish. You're gonna have a lot of as far as Spanish speaking, you have a lot of the Spanish language being used. You're gonna have like the culture, and I'm not Latin, so I don't know the whole culture, but I took Spanish up to Spanish 5 in school, so I know a little something. But I'll have like more so the Spanish speaking community really show that culture, and everything, because you can. Well, okay, so let me fast forward, because I wanted to have the cartel in there, because I think that was a big thing people don't really look at. So I wanted to have the cartel, and then him being a superhero, and he's gonna be battling the cartel. So he wants to go back to Mexico, and his family's like, no, we don't want you back in Mexico. And he's like, I want to go back to my roots. I want to go back to Mexico, and blah 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 blah. And he ends up going back to Mexico with his super, because he's like, I don't want to hold all these superpowers, and I know what people are doing down there. Like I know what's going on. And by this time, I think he's 18. And he's like, I don't want to hold these powers and knowing what's happening down there. And I can't quite remember everything with that. I know that like maybe something happened, like some of his family got hurt or something. And so he wanted to go down to Mexico. So they're like, no. And then he's like, yeah. So he goes down to Mexico, starts living in Mexico, and he's fighting crime. And he has like a suit that he gets made so that people don't know it's him. And so he's fighting crime, but people don't know who it is that's fighting the crime. And then they end up figuring out it was him. And by this time, he has a love interest. So he has a girl that he's been dating. So they end up going after his girl, because they're like, we might not be able to get him directly, but we can get his girl and draw him out. And so then he goes, I think there's going to be some bad scenes in there. It might be kind of graphic. But I think before his girl really like gets assaulted, he's able to get him, because they also somehow or another they ended up learning, they got information about that signal. So they played it. They ended up putting in. They put in. They put it on their like some Humvees, some Hummers, their Jeeps. They had like these loudspeakers, and they played that tone. So when he showed up at the scene to get the girl, he ended up losing all of his powers, and they knocked him out. And they had him wrapped up. And then the thing that ends up getting him out of it is while he's unconscious, like he has a vision, like his uncle. I want to say his uncle or his godfather, something like that. He comes to him and he's explaining to him like that signal really doesn't matter. It's about up here. It's about your concentration. If you can focus and meditate, that signal won't really matter. So really, he's invincible. The signal was really just something, somehow or another, was working, just because I think they believed that it was going to work. And so that belief and that type of energy going into him, then he kind of took that on and it just was working. But once he got his mind right, that signal, that tone, it no longer blocked him. And it might even be something where he interacts with the tone, like in his mind or something. He might be able to see it, and he's like in this white room, kind of like the Matrix, and then the tone's going, and then it's like the tone is actually, I don't know if you would want to say symbolized, but maybe symbolized by like the witch doctor, where the witch doctor's in there, and he is the tone, if that makes sense. It's like 30 billion of them, and he's like, and that's the actual frequency, you know what I'm saying? So the frequency is like a blockage, and so he's in there. If you ever seen Black Lightning, that movie, that show, where the dude is fighting with himself, and he has to go inside of his mind. It's kind of similar concept. So he has to like fight that witch doctor, that tone. He's kind of fighting with frequency. Do, 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 do. And he breaks free of it, and then now he has his powers, and he just messes everybody up, and he takes down the cartel, and then Mexico's like a whole new, it's like a whole new energy, because it'll paint like it to be more crime ridden and stuff like that, which there's probably some truth to that in certain areas, but it'll just paint that picture. All right, let me see another movie that I had an idea for. I wanted to do one where it's a martial arts movie, and it's kind of how they have like in the martial arts movies, they'll have people that be like, "Hello, how are you doing?" "No, you can't go there. Where's my money?" "Oh, so you want to eat cheeseburgers? How about a cheeseburger here?" So, but instead of doing that, it'll be like some black people, and they'll have voiceovers that'll be like, "Come on, Stas." No, let me think of something. Like, it'll be like, no, because it'll be like a Latin accent. So let me see. Let me think of a Latin accent. I can't even think of something. But let me say like, let's say it's an Asian guy. So the Asian guy will be like, "What's good, homie? Do you have what I came here for?" So it'll be like a black dude voicing the Asian guy, an Asian guy voicing the Latin dude, a white guy voicing, I think it'd be too cliche to have him voicing the black guy. Maybe I had an Asian guy voicing the black guy, Latin guy voicing the white dude, a white guy voicing the Asian guy, Asian guy voicing the Latin guy. I think that's right. Or not say Asian guy voicing the black guy, but you get what I'm saying. Everybody will have like even though they look a certain way, they'll have a different vernacular and way of talking, because you have a voice actor that doesn't match the person that it looks like, even the girl. So it might be a girl, and then she'll be like, you know, and you expect her to be like, oh my God, you know, but it's like, oh damn. But it'd be like, oh my God, bro, I don't know what's going on, you know. So it'll just be some comedic, but it'd be somewhere it's just like a regular old martial arts type movies. Somebody owes somebody money and they're trying to go get it. And the funny aspect would just be that it's all the voiceovers are of different ethnicities. The other one is, I think this is going to be the last one that I talk about. Because I think this might be, I don't know if I have any more other than this. And if I do, oh well. So this one was called Blue Wall Pill. Blue Wall Pill. Is it Blue Wall Pill? Yeah, because they talk about the blue wall of silence with the police. So there's a white guy, and he has a black brother, like adopted brother, but they grew up like since kids. And that just shows the lack of racism in him, because he had like a black, like his actual brother is black. So they grew up together, you know what I'm saying? And so there's an importance to that though. So as they get older, his black brother is in the army and he's on deployment. You know, like they've moved out of the house and everything, but you know, so it's been some years. They're like in their late 20s. So the white guy, he has a white wife, and it's important why I'm saying the ethnicities here, because it's called Blue Wall Pill. But you'll see why I'm focused on those ethnicities. So he ends up moving to some new town. It's a small town, and he ends up joining the police force. So his brother, the black brother, is over in wherever on deployment. The white guy and his white wife, some small town. He just joined the police force. He goes through the onboarding, goes to the school and everything. On the onboarding, something happens in the training. He can't quite, like, it seems normal to him. He don't really remember anything until later in the movie. Then he'll remember like a certain segment of the training that was fuzzy, but it seems pretty normal. And so then he starts, but what he notices is he's pulling people over. And when he's pulling people over, subconsciously and unwillingly, his body is trying to do things that he's not consciously trying to do. So like he'll pull over to minorities or people of different ethnicities. So he'll pull over somebody and he's like license and registration, his hands on his weapon already, but not in a way that it's just like, okay, I'm just having it here for safety. It's like it's already, his body's trying to pull it out and start getting to, you know what I mean, going on a spree. And then he'll catch himself and he'll be like, what's going on? You know, so he'll notice like little things like that, like when he's pulling people over, every now and then his body will be doing something or like getting aggressive, or he'll just go and like start yelling at people. And it's not like, get me up, you know what I'm saying? And it's like he's not meaning to, and there's really no cause of it. Like the situation doesn't call for it, but he's just doing it. So he's like under mind control, right? And so he's noticing these little things, and then comes to find out, because he's walking past this room where he sees these officers. Well, it looks like a detective. They're wearing suits and stuff, and they kind of do like that look back. It's one of those type of scenes, and then they shut the door. It's like, and then he's like, "What's going on in that room?" You know. So at some point, he ends up catching a peek, and there's these cops, like the new officers. They got these little what do you call them things? Little things all over the brain, where it's like they're trying to program, and then the guys in there like, you know. So that's his programming, you know, to come on board into this organization, into this police force. And then he's noticing those little things, and then he's like, oh man, and he starts to pick it up. And so now his brother comes into town. His brother comes in, he's sleeping in the guest room in the basement. And so while this guy's figuring out all this stuff, it's like kind of while the brother's there too. And then the brother's on like a dating app and meets some girl, which is also, I think I had her being a white lady as well. But long story short, the girl that he starts dating, his brother, the girl that his brother starts to date, kind of kicks it off with that guy's wife too. And so those two end up kind of like going out, and they're like getting, they hang out like here and there, and then they end up getting similar outfits, right? This is important because so the dude ends up not killing any minorities the whole movie. And then he ends up figuring out what's going on with the police force, and he's like, I'm gonna take him down. And so there's a whole big, he says, I'm gonna go out of town on this conference, honey. That's what he tells his wife. I gotta go out of town on this conference, and then gotta handle some stuff. But he's really not. He's gonna go to the police force and just start, like the Punisher. And he's taking them down, and he's like figuring out what they've been doing, and he's finding all this stuff and taking pictures, and boom, boom, boom. And doesn't kill any minorities the whole time. And so the kicker is, he comes back, the whole time, every now and then he'll get like little, notions, like he'll thoughts, where he'll think like that his brother wants his wife. So he's thinking like, dang, his brother might be trying to mess with his wife, but it's not that at all. But every now and then it'd be like some stuff that alludes to that. So, it's like he'll just look at it, like they'll be at a family gathering, like cooking barbecue or something, but then the brother will be telling jokes over there, and the wife will be like, and then it's like, it's that type of thing. So anyway, after he does this, he takes down everybody in that organization. He ends up finding out that it's a way bigger project or system than what he thought. So it's like huge. He thought it was just that police department, but it ends up being like a huge operation all across. I don't know if it's just across America or in other places too, but it won't be all cops. It'll just be certain, So I have to just do it in a way that it would be, or if somebody else did it, just be in a way where it's like it's a certain sector that they're trying to implement this thing and putting the people under mind control. And so he takes them down, comes back, and then he's hearing, now mind you, they think that he's out of town on the conference. He sees these clothes that look like his wife's clothes, like laid out, because he's hearing noises. And he's like, what's going on? And he goes downstairs, and then that's where he sees and he's hearing the noise from his brother's room, the guest room. So he goes in there. The only minority he popped end up being his brother, black dude. Pop, pop, pop. And then he walks out into the driveway, and then that's when his wife pulls up. Because those clothes he was seeing, it was just the other girl, the girl he had been dating, because she got a similar outfit to the wife, because they shopped at the same place and whatever. But the wife ends up pulling up. She's like, oh, I just left for a minute. I think your brother was trying to do something with the girl, actually. But yeah, you came back early. I thought you were out of town for them. It's like, and he's all beaten up, She's like, what happened to you? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then the camera kind of pans out, and it goes to the sky. And then he's like, no! It's one of those type of endings, But yeah, that's about all I got. Hopefully that'll jog some people's creative juices. Like I said, if you like some of that stuff that you heard, you can go ahead and cultivate it yourself. But sometimes you gotta have a person with the original vision, they'll put the style on there, That's where you run into those situations like having a Scary Movie 3, a Scary Movie 4, a Scary Movie 5. If the Wayans aren't doing it, then it's just not gonna hit as hard. So take that for what it's worth. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy those plots for movies, and hopefully they'll be coming to a screen near you sometime soon.